morning. It is Monday. What is today? The 13th of January, 2025. I'm not going to sit down and do a formal update this week. I just decided I'm not going to do that. So I'm actually going to probably kind of do a vlog style for this week, and then maybe this will go up next week. I don't know. We're gonna just see how it goes and play it by ear. But anyway, welcome to the channel. My name is Jen, NDGen04 in all the places, including Blue Sky now. I joined that social media platform last week. Still don't have a name for this channel, but this series is the Scrappy Blanket Diaries, and this is volume 3, where I am taking you all along on my journey to finish my Scrappy blanket projects. Right now I'm focusing on the 2 blankets I am crocheting for my daughters. This is one of them here, piled up in the box next to me. So yeah, we're just gonna see where this week takes us. To give you a quick update, hold on, I should probably put down my cup of tea here. By the way, I'm still drinking out of my Christmas mugs because this mug is a really great size and I love it, and who cares? I suppose before I go any further, because I know I'll get some questions, this is a Musselburgh hat. It's a pattern by Zolda Teague. If you're anywhere around the knitting community, this one is all over the place. I have knitted several of them over the years. This one is out of some Knit Picks Felici self-striping. This cowl, I don't remember the name of it, but I knitted one for myself and one for each of the kids. I do know that this contrast yarn is a mini set from Sharon of Knit Style Yarns. I believe it was either like a Haunted Mansion or a Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween Party set. I don't remember what this main color was. It was some yarn I had from years and years ago, but I'll put the name of the actual cowl itself on the screen and maybe pop up some pictures of the girls in there. So we have the same pattern, but very different looks. So anyway, you know, the knitter YouTuber thing, telling you about the knitting projects. So I don't have this on the tripod, so I'm just going to have to hold you. So I apologize for all the moving around, but just to give you a quick update of where we are. I haven't updated my spreadsheet yet, but by the time I edit this, I'll probably have updated the spreadsheet itself. But I did update my, actually, hold on, let me show you. So I did update, and I mean, this is what I do. It's not pretty by any stretch of the imagination, but just to kind of keep track here of where I am. So I can't hold this and the camera and talk at the same time, but over here on this side is where I write my Monday total. So that 133 for Aurora's blanket. So I added 35 squares. I attached 14. So last week, you might remember, if you watched last week's video, I had 98 squares done and 98 squares attached. I've crocheted 35 more squares and I've attached 14 of them. So I'm at 133 and 112 respectively. Since I haven't updated the spreadsheet and done all the fancy math, I would imagine I need about 40 some odd squares now to finish by the end of the Down Cellar Studio pigskin party, just because my average last week that I was supposed to be at 39 squares per week didn't quite hit that 39 mark, so my average probably ticked up just a little bit there. But yeah, that's where we are. It is what it is. Last week, I did get a lot of ends woven in. Oh, that's Aurora's working on a Lego project there, and we've got little droid friends all over, so you get to see all the stuff. But here's the blanket. All right, hold on. I'm going to turn you back around again. So just like last week, the squares are attached. I have not completed the full row, all the way around all the squares, but they are all attached to the blanket. So I'm calling it good. But one of the great parts last week is that I spent a couple of hours during a work meeting. As I mentioned last week, some of my meetings are such that I can knit, crochet, do something else while I'm in the meeting, and I'm still paying attention. And actually, I'm paying attention better than if I was just sitting there, because I'm not sucked into my inbox and Teams messages and all that stuff. So I went through and wove in a ton. This is the back side, a ton, because here's some more ends over here, a ton of ends. And I'll pop a picture that I shared over on Blue Sky last week. So while, again, measurable progress by the number of squares it didn't hit that target goal that I had for myself, I still made really good headway because we all know ends, I mean, there's some more, but there were so many ends still on this blanket last week. So I did get that accomplished, and I guess that is quantifiable. I didn't sit there and count how many squares worth of ends, but again, I'll post the before and after pictures on the screen here. So anyway, I'm going to take you around this week, kind of vlog style as I go through. And yeah, thank you for joining me here on the channel. Again, if you are enjoying this, like, subscribe, all the YouTube stuff. For those who have already done that, thank you again. Thank you for all the comments, the kind words, the encouragement. I really appreciate it. And I hope your week is off to, well, who knows what day it is by the time you're watching this, but I hope you are having a decent week. And yeah, let's keep moving on this blanket. Okay, so it's a few minutes later, and I crocheted up one square this morning. So I am now at the point in Aurora's blanket where I'm actually getting, and you can't tell from here, I've got my pens in here, but I actually am almost completely through all of, I still have some left, but I have crocheted up almost all of the minis from the countdown calendars from this past holiday season. And so I am at the point where I'm going to start working in some of the duplicate squares. And there are some yarns that I either had more than a mini skein, there were leftovers. I think I talked about this in prior videos, but this morning I decided to crochet up a square. This is leftovers from the very first baby sweater. Well, I shouldn't say that because I was knitting baby things before I was expecting the girls, but this was the first yarn I purchased once we found out we were finally expecting, and this is all that I've got left. I'll pop a picture on the screen. I know I shared it in volume 1 when I did my little overview, but this is Madeline Tosh DK in, I looked it up just a little while ago, Sea Wash. It's either Sea Wash or Sea Glass. I'll put it on the screen. Colorway, and I had knitted a striped sweater for, well, at the time I started at, I knew we were having twins, but at the time I purchased the yarn, we didn't know we were having twins. We knew it was a possibility, but we didn't know we were having twins, and it was one that Aurora wanted a second square. And I'll weigh this and see, I should have enough, there's probably 10 grams here for sure, that I can get another square into Zelda's blanket, and so they'll each have 2 of those squares in here. But this is one of my baskets of yarn. I've got the yarns that I'm using for Aurora's borders here. I do have some minis from the Legacy Fiber Arts DK mini set. I think this is from, these might be from a different, no, this is probably Sue's because this has a lot of speckles in it. But, I've got other minis that were not part of the countdown calendars in this basket. This is the Rock Creek Park, for those of you who've been following me, through the podcast. If you know, you know. Again, one of Aurora's favorites here. So I've got this basket going. This is the box that had the countdown calendars. Of course, I've got more bags. I've got yarn everywhere. Again, my pens for updating my notebook there. So yeah, my little timer alarm is about to go off that it's time to sign into work, but I just thought I'd check in with the first square of the day. Okay, so in true Monday fashion, my work computer is running an update, so I decided I could have crocheted a square probably during that time, but I said, let me take a look at this basket that I showed you a little while ago. It was all jumbled full of all sorts of yarn. So I have 12 minis left from the countdown calendars that have not been crocheted up yet. These have all been crocheted. These wound balls of yarn have been crocheted into squares for Aurora's blanket. They still have to be added to Zelda's blanket. And then I had in here, there was a full skein from the Legacy Fiber Arts Children's Bookshelf Countdown Calendar. There is the full skein from the Lullabean Yarn Company Sneakerhead Countdown Calendar. This was day 25. And then I had some of the border yarn. So this is the contrast yarn. Well, for Zelda's, it's the contrast for the checkerboard. And then this is the second colorway that I think she's going to pick for, that she's landed on for the other rows. Because if you recall from last week, I'm not going to have enough of this to do the full size blanket that she's hoping for, but we're going to do about 10 rows in this color, which I have more than just this one skein. So this is much more organized, and I have a truer picture of what we have left. So let's go see if my work computer's back up and running so that I can, I don't know, get some work done on this Monday. All right, it is, oh, can't see my watch. It is almost 2 o'clock. It's been one of those very busy days at work. I'm about to get ready for a call, but I have a few minutes before that, and I need a break. So I refilled my cup of tea, or I made myself another cup of tea. I got another ball of yarn. This is another repeat yarn to go in Aurora's blanket. So let's crochet up a square and see how the rest of the day goes. And done. About 9. Well, I probably didn't start the square until 1:55, so it takes me about 8 minutes to crochet up one of these. I did have to pause to answer a Teams message. So yeah, not too shabby to get one done. And I think that's what helps, right? To have the yarn ready to go, the crochet hook nearby. And if I just need a few minutes to catch my breath, I can whip up a square. So yeah, that's 2 for the day. It is Tuesday, the 14th. I am still in my hat, a different Muscle Burrow hat from yesterday, though. This is in a Gauge Dye Works colorway. It's self-striping. That is the solar system. I'll post a picture of what it looks like all, laid out, where you could see each stripe represents the size of the planets and how far apart they are. It's pretty cool. Anyway, I thought I'd give you a little bit of an update. I crocheted up 5 squares yesterday. So I did update my spreadsheet. I'm pretty much I need to do 6. I think last week and the week before I was averaging somewhere between 5 and 6 that I needed per day to keep up my pace. So now I am squarely I need 6 or more. So I didn't quite make that yesterday, but it was a busy day. Work was pretty busy. My mom came to visit in the afternoon, stayed for dinner, and all that kind of stuff. And I also worked on a little bit of the attaching of the that last row, because I mentioned yesterday I attached the squares, but I still have to do the fill-in, the work my way back. So I have about 20 minutes before I have to start work. So I'm going to wind up some minis so that they're ready to go, so that I could pick them up throughout the day and get some squares crocheted. So let's keep going. I picked out 7 minis for today, so I can try to get, yesterday plus today, 5 by 2. It'll still keep me at 6. And I noticed yesterday I did a lot of the tealy blue ones, so I picked some other colors for today. So let's get these wound up. So it is time to sign into work, but I did get 4 of the 7 wound. Ran into a little bit of a tangle. I don't know, does this happen to anybody else where you're winding a mini skein and you think you're on a roll and you're going faster than you probably should. And you've got I wind mine with the skein draped across my knees, trying to get a little bit of tension. And I go too fast and things get tangled, and yeah. So that slowed me down a little bit, but I did get 4 of the 7 wound. So I'm gonna go boot up my computer. Sometimes it takes a little too long and I can get another one wound in there, but starting to set myself up. The other thing I thought about while I was winding, because it was just very, it's very quiet, very methodical, is about connecting the squares to the blanket. So with last week's progress of 35 new squares, I only attached 14. So I have, what is that, another 21 squares. So another row and a half that need to be attached from last week, plus the 5 yesterday, right? Eventually I'm going to have rows and rows and rows and rows of squares to attach. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to focus on crocheting the squares themselves during the day when I can, and then using my nighttime before bed unwind time to finish attaching the squares that I have. After dinner, I will have Aurora line up the next couple rows, and I'll snap a photo so I know what order those have to go in, so that at night I focus on attaching. During the day, I'm going to focus on the squares, and I think that'll keep me in a good pace. We'll see how that goes, but that's the plan for now. Off to work to start the day. All right, good morning, everybody. It is Wednesday morning. I know I said yesterday I was going to be crocheting squares during the day, doing the attaching during the evenings, but I ran out of steam last night while I was finishing the attaching. I think when I showed you yesterday, Legos. When I showed you yesterday, I still had a number of squares left to do the, this part of the row. But I decided this morning I was going to work on this before work because I'm running low on what was left. This yarn is the Trolla colorway from Lilla Bean Yarn Company. It was left over from Zelda's Picture Day sweater. And I'm going to have to wind another skein because this is the second row in this color. And for this blanket for Aurora, I need 3 rows of each border color. So I know I'm going to have to wind yarn anyway. But I need to know if I need to wind it sooner rather than later, because today is my very busy day as far as meetings and projects go. And so let's see. I still have about 10 minutes before I need to sign on to work. Let's see what runs out first, the yarn, the time, or maybe I do get to the end. I don't know. It's cutting it really, really close. And again, I have a whole other row, so it's not like I'm opening a skein just for a couple of edges here, but I just have to laugh. So anyway, I should probably turn off the camera and actually get to crocheting before work. All right, the yarn ran out just as my alarm went off. And I am literally just this little itty bitty bit, which I weighed the yarn before I started this border row. And in theory, I should have had enough, but I really had 3 different little scraps. And so when, it's not a I could have done a magic, I should probably, well, in retrospect, maybe a magic knot would have worked better than just attaching the yarn, because then, those little bit of ends probably would have gotten me this last little bit. So hopefully I could find a few moments in the day that I can get the ball winder out, wind up the other ball of yarn. Because I was even thinking as I was getting closer, I said, if I could just as long as I get the top edge done, I can come back and do this side later on when I come to do the third row in this border yarn, but I can't even attach the next border because I need these stitches here. So Yarn chicken, 1. Jen, 0 for this morning, but all good. Everybody, it is Thursday, the 16th of January. It's cold outside. Didn't really check to see what the temperature is. I don't have my watch on. This morning it's charging because I forgot to charge it last night. I have my muscle burra, my cowl. At this point, you've seen it several days, and I would have put it on the screen and actually looked up what the name is. And I'm also wearing a hand-knitted sweater today. This is the Bean and Olive by Andrea Mowry, knitted out of a kit from Lola Bean Yarn Company because it was a collaboration with Andrea and Adela. And yeah, I'm waiting for the water to boil for my tea. It was one of those mornings. The kids were bouncing off the wall. It's almost the weekend. And so they actually helped me wind today's mini skeins, which I don't usually wind mini skeins on the ball winder in Swift, but I had them out because I was winding yarn yesterday, which you will have likely, maybe I talked about it. I don't even remember, to be honest. It's been one of those weeks. But since the ball winder in Swift was still set up on the kitchen island and they were going stir crazy before school, I said, who wants to help? 20 gram mini DK minis, you know, they don't create the prettiest wound cakes off of the ball winder, but it kept the kids busy and kept them from bouncing off the walls. So I actually had them wind 2, 4, 6, I guess 9. We ended up winding this morning. I've got to do my little daily tally and check in to see where we are for squares for the week. But I think I decided last week I ended the week at 133. And by ending the week, I end the week through Sunday, right? That is my week goes Monday to Sunday when I'm counting for purposes of this project. I ended last week at 133. I'd like to get to 175 by the end of the day Sunday. So we'll see. So yeah, I'm gonna get my tea warm up. Eventually I will take the hat and cowl off, but the house gets chilly. I should just change the timer on the thermostat, to be honest, but by the time I get back in from the bus stop, the heat has kicked off and it gets chilly in the house, and it's, you know, it's a whole process. So I'll take my hat off, get ready for the work day, start crocheting up some squares, and yeah, see where this goes. All right, good morning, everybody. I am not sure where I left off or where I am with this little vlog. I've been taking you along as I've been making progress on Aurora's blanket, and I said, you know what? I better just gotta stop it at some point. I was gonna film yesterday but it was a little bit of a chaotic day, but that's okay. So here I am this morning. It is Tuesday, January the 21st. I have a few minutes before I have to sign in to work. And I was going to sit and crochet, but I said, you know what? Let me kind of put an end to this series of updates here, since we are about 20 days away from the end of the Downseller Studio Pigskin Party, which is my motivator for getting Aurora's blanket done, as you might know. And I thought, let me give a little bit of an update, get this video together, put it out into the world. I made some pretty decent progress. I didn't film much over actually the last several days or so, but I think at some point during the week I said, oh, I want to get to 175 squares, and I was close. I ended the week, so I keep track, or I really give my totals as of the Monday. It's just easier since the Pigskin Party ends on the Monday. It's just kind of easier to track from a week perspective. So I ended the week, or started the week, or I'm starting this week with 172 squares. So I added 39 squares over the course of the prior week. My average still is just over 40 squares per week, but what I really need to do, because I have a lot of attaching to do, of course, and that takes time. So I need to rethink how I am kind of measuring if I'm on track or not, because yeah, I could crochet all the squares, but if I don't attach them, it doesn't quote unquote count. And again, it's all for internet points and all the things, but that's okay. So 172 squares completed, and I added 3 rows to the blanket, so fully attached rows. So that was another 42 that were attached. So I have 154 squares attached, and I've got 172 squares completed, which means I still have enough for the next row. In fact, here, let me show you where I am with the blanket here. So I have 11 rows total, which it's quite a bit. And there's the last row there. Still a lot of ends to weave in, but I will make that a project for tomorrow. Is my long meeting day, so that'll be a good chance to catch up on all of those ends that I'm weaving in. But yeah, I am moving along. We reached the halfway point, so halfway for my 23 rows would be 11 and a half, right? 20. Oh my goodness, I'm confusing the two blankets. Zelda wants 23, 21 for Aurora. So halfway was my 10 and a half. So when I was halfway through row 11 here, I reached the halfway point of the blanket. So that is pretty good. And then right before school this morning, I laid out the blanket and I gave Aurora the squares that are ready to be added. There's more than a row's worth. So she picked out the next 14 and put them in order. And one thing I've been doing is, since she's very particular about this one particular column that it's kind of her favorites, I guess. I don't know, but as long as that one is right, it's okay. But what I've been doing is I lay it out and then I put them in order here and I stack them on this crochet hook. This is not, I like the crochet hooks that have kind of a thicker handle here, but this one works great to hold the squares. I just stick them through that little center bit there, and I have them in order. So I just pull them off and add them to the blanket, which is what I will do. That'll be a project for today. I think at some point I mentioned, oh, I'm going to just do the attaching at night. So I mean, at the end of the day, I just do what feels right in that particular moment. And today I could use an attaching kind of day. It was a long weekend. It was a late night. The ND in the ND Gen 04 is for my dear Fighting Irish of Notre Dame, my alma mater, my heart. Fortunately, we didn't come away with the win for the national championship last night, but that's okay. Still a great season nonetheless. And I suppose while I'm at it, I should mention, since I am wearing a hand knitted sweater here, get my hair out of the way here. This is the Comfort Fade Cardi by Andrea Mowry. And this yarn is the absolutely beautiful fade from Treehouse Knits Lauren. She does absolutely beautiful, beautiful collections that are all so cohesive and, as you could see, fade together beautifully. This is from the Cocoa collection. And here, let me stand up a little bit here so you can see. I will list the colorways down below. I'll have to look them up to see what they are. But again, absolutely beautiful. And it is very cold here in New England. It's about 7 degrees Fahrenheit at the bus stop this morning. So I've got my cup of tea, I've got my warm cozy sweater, and I've got my warm blanket. It is now at the point I've posted pictures on Blue Sky of me snuggling under the blanket. It is that big now that it is nice and warm and snuggly as I'm working on it and attaching new squares, or even as I'm crocheting up the new squares. The other question I have been getting is, what am I using for the joining yarns and colorways? And actually, let me get my list out here. And I've got the basket right here so I can show you what I've been using. I think I showed a picture in the first video, but I don't think I actually sat through and went through all of the colorways. So I've got Lola Bean Yarn Company in the Trolla colorway. I have got Legacy Fiber Arts in their Fearless colorway. This was a colorway that was a fundraiser for Boston Jen and her mom's Fearless Living Fund. You may have heard that Boston Jen's mom lost her battle with cancer on New Year's Day. So I will link to the Fearless Living Fund down below if you're interested in making a donation to this wonderful organization in Jen's mom's memory. The next one is Emma's yarn, and I'm going to have to put the colorway down below because I only wrote down that it's Emma's yarn. I did not write down what the colorway was, but again, just a beautiful speckled yarn. Oh, I lied. I don't have, oh wait, here it is. I've got yarn everywhere, people. This is Bella Filato Studios, I think, in the Slumber Party colorway. And I know the colors aren't going to be absolutely perfect. I just have my living room lights on this morning. And then the next color that I'm getting ready to join with is another Lola Bean Yarn Company in Fanciful. This is more of a gray with some pinky purple and blue speckles. And then another Lola Bean in The City So Nice. They named it twice. And then last but not least, another Lola Bean in Hardcore. So yeah, those are the 7 different colors. I am on, let's see, I joined row 11, so I'm on row 12. I'm in the second batch of joining sections here. And yeah, so that's it for where we are for this particular update. I will put this video up and get that out into the world. Again, thank you again for everybody who has been joining along, subscribing, commenting, liking, sharing, you know, all the things. It's really fun to share our fiber fun with friends across the internet, and I greatly appreciate that. As always, if you want to reach out in between, I am on all the places as ndgen04. I've been trying out Blue Sky. I don't know if I've mentioned that yet. I joined that a couple weeks ago now. So getting that a little bit of a whirl. I'm still on Instagram. I've been posting here and there over on Instagram, but yeah. So I hope your crafting is treating you well, and we'll talk soon. Bye-bye.